Unit 1. Use your imagination. Listening 1. Read and listen.
Amazing sculptures. You can make anything out of ice, says Ian Foster. Ian is an ice sculptor. He carves animals, buildings and trees, all out of ice. The biggest ice sculpture he ever made was an entire castle. Each sculpture begins with a piece of paper, a pencil, and Ian's imagination. He makes drawings of the sculpture and imagines it from the front and back and from every side. Once he is happy with his idea, he starts to work with his tools on a big block of ice. I have to wear a thick coat and a fur hat to work, even when it's hot outside. The temperature in the studio is always close to freezing. Otherwise, the sculpture would melt. It's like working in a big fridge. Most of the sculptures are made for special occasions, weddings, town festivals, or parties in big companies. The sculptures are taken to the party in refrigerated vans. Once they are taken out of the van and put on show, they begin to melt. However, the biggest sculptures will last for many hours before they turn into water. Does Ian feel sad when his sculptures melt? Not really, he says, because I am already thinking about the next sculpture. Melting ice is not a problem for Mike Evans. He is a sand sculptor. Mike started making sand sculptures 24 years ago, and for the last 16 years, sand sculpture has been his full-time job. He works with a team of sculptors. They travel all over the world to make sand art for festivals, shows, museums, zoos, shopping centres, and big companies. The team has made hundreds of sculptures, from small statues to a huge palace for 100 to have dinner inside. They never make the same sculpture twice. The team has won lots of prizes for their art. They also teach people how to make sand sculptures. 1. To make a sand sculpture, you need a wooden frame. First, fill the frame with sand. Then use water to wet the sand. Press the sand down into the frame until the sand is hard. 2. Then remove the frame and start to carve the sand sculpture. Start at the top of the sculpture. You can use gardening tools, a stick, and an ordinary knife to carve the sand.
Unit 2. Working with animals. Listening 2. Read and listen.
Sarah Turner, shark trainer. Sarah Turner has an unusual job. She trains sharks at the Sea Life Centre. We asked Sarah a few questions to find out more about her job. Why did you become a shark trainer?
I've always loved sharks. They're amazing creatures and they're very clever. Lots of people are scared of them, of course. I want to learn more about them so that I can teach people not to be scared.
What do you do at work?
I usually feed, study and train the sharks here at the Sea Life Centre. The sharks live in huge tanks. I also study sharks in their natural habitat. You need to be brave to dive with a video camera to film the sharks in the sea.
How do you train the sharks at the Sea Life Centre?
We teach them to touch a special button to get food. There is a different button for every species of shark here. Every button is a different colour and has a different pattern on it. The sharks learn to recognise their button and press it with their noses when they are hungry. We move the buttons around the tank so that the sharks learn to follow them.
What does this teach us about sharks?
Many things. It tells us that sharks can understand and remember. They understand that one button means food, although it doesn't look like food. And when we put the button in a different place, they still remember.
Why do you train the sharks?
Sharks usually stay in groups. We want to teach the sharks to come to special places so that we can study them and check their health. We start by teaching them to come to different places to get food. We have to teach them one thing at a time. Sharks get scared when you try to do lots of things at once.
What other things have you learnt about sharks?
I've learnt a lot about their eating habits and routines. I've also learnt that all sharks have different personalities. One of the young sharks here likes to chase the bigger sharks. She also likes to play with her food. I hope my work will teach people that sharks are not monsters. They are often clever, funny creatures.
Unit 3. Extreme weather. Listening 3. Read and listen.
High and low. The temperature changes all the time. Summer is hotter than winter, and days are usually warmer than nights. If we want to know the correct temperature, we look at a thermometer. Thermometers show us the temperature in degrees. For example, if the temperature is 30 degrees Celsius, it is a nice warm day. However, 40 degrees Celsius is hot and uncomfortable. If the temperature is 5 degrees Celsius, it is a cold day. Water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius, but in very cold places, the temperature falls below 0. Very cold temperatures are measured in negative numbers. For example, -5 degrees Celsius. The hottest place on Earth. On September the 13th, 1922, scientists in El Azazia in Libya recorded a temperature of 57.8 degrees Celsius. This is the hottest temperature ever recorded. El Azazia is near the Sahara Desert. Scientists believe that the temperature in the desert is even hotter than the temperature in El Azazia, but there are no weather stations in the desert to record the temperature. Libya is one of the hottest places in the world because a hot, sandy wind blows across the country in the spring and autumn. The wind can raise the temperature by 20 degrees Celsius in just a couple of hours. Also, there is very little water in the desert, and it hardly ever rains. In some parts of Libya, 10 years can pass without rain. In Uwainat, on the border between Libya and Egypt, the last rain was recorded in 1998. And the coldest place. In 1983, Russian scientists working in Antarctica recorded a temperature of -89 degrees Celsius. This is the coldest temperature ever recorded. Antarctica is colder than the Arctic because the snow surface in Antarctica is higher than in the Arctic. Also, the North Pole is in the middle of the Arctic Ocean. Although most of the sea is frozen, it is not as cold as the South Pole in Antarctica. Under the snow in Antarctica, there is land, not ocean. Land can get colder than a frozen sea, so Antarctica is colder than the Arctic. Antarctica is also the driest continent on Earth. It gets less than 10 centimetres of rain every year. This means that Antarctica is a desert, because a desert is a place where there is less than 25.4 centimetres of rain every year. There is a lot of water in Antarctica, but it is all frozen in huge ice sheets. However, you can still get sunburn in Antarctica because the snow reflects the sun.
Unit 4. Unusual houses. Listening 4. Read and listen.
All around the world, houses look similar. Doors, windows, a roof. But here are 3 houses that are very unusual and would look out of place in any country. Welcome to a home with a difference. In most ways, this is a normal house. It's quite big. There's a living room, a kitchen, a bathroom, and 3 bedrooms. But every week, hundreds of people come to see this house. What's unusual about it? It's upside down. You walk in through a window, and the first room you come to is the attic. When you go upstairs to the bedrooms, there are more surprises. Look up and you'll see beds and wardrobes stuck to the ceiling. Look down and you'll see lights that come up from the floor. At the top of the house, there's a living room and a kitchen. Where's the sofa? Where's the cooker? They're on the ceiling, of course. Everything in this house is upside down. Only the stairs are the right way up because visitors have to use them. The house is a favourite tourist attraction, but nobody lives there. That would be impossible. Nobody could sleep upside down in a bed that's stuck to the ceiling. This strange house is in Germany. Its name is unusual too. The house is called The World Stands on Its Head. Here's a more normal house. Firstly, it's the right way up. Secondly, the person who built it really lives there. However, the unusual thing about this house is that it's made of plastic bottles. Maria Ponce's house is in a village in El Salvador in Central America. She didn't have enough money to build a normal house, so she collected empty plastic bottles and made a house with them. It took Maria nearly 2 years to collect the bottles and build her house, and she is proud of it. It's only got 1 room, but Maria hopes to build another room one day. Jiang Lianshi's house in North China is bigger than Maria Ponce's. However, like Maria, he has used his imagination to make a house that is unlike any other. His house is covered with pieces of beautiful cups and plates, which he collected for more than 20 years. He has also stuck small sculptures onto his house and pieces of coloured crystal. All these beautiful things have cost Jiang $65 million. Fortunately, Jiang is a rich businessman, so money isn't a problem for him.
Unit 5. Life in the future. Listening 5. Read and listen.
Our future. In the next few decades, new inventions and discoveries will make huge changes to our lives. On these 2 pages, scientists give their predictions about life in the future. Will there be schools in the future? Yes. Children will still go to school, but schools will be very different. There will still be teachers, but computers will teach some lessons. Some students will stay at home and learn in virtual classrooms. Virtual reality will give them an image of a classroom in 3 dimensions, or 3D. They will see their teacher and their friends, so they will feel like they are really at school. Will computers understand what we say to them? Computers will be more intelligent. They will understand what we say, what we think, and how we feel. In the future, humans and computers will be part of a huge radio network. We will send messages from our brain to our computer, and the computer will send messages straight to our brain without using wires. When you want to learn something new, your computer will send the information straight to your brain. What will clothes be like? In a few years, there will be clothes with soft TV screens in them. You will be able to change the pattern on your t-shirt. You will be able to show music videos on your clothes while you are dancing. Before long, there will be jackets with a soft watch on the sleeve. Will we have robots to help us? In the future, we will have lots of very clever robots called nanobots. Nanobots will be very small, but they will be everywhere. They will clean our homes, mend our clothes, and make our meals. Will there be televisions? Televisions in the future will be different from televisions now. They will be much bigger, and the pictures on the television won't be flat. They will all be in 3D. You will be able to walk into your favourite TV programme. It will happen all around you. What about TV channels? TV channels will be a thing of the past. People will choose TV programmes from a menu on their computer. In the future, TV programmes, films, music and books will all come to us through our computers. We will say to the computer, "I want to watch a funny film," or "I'd like to hear some dance music." The computer will understand us and choose the film or the music.
Unit 6. Clever Creatures. Listening 6. Read and listen.
Which are the most intelligent animals in the world? It's difficult to say, because different animals have different types of intelligence. For example, dolphins can speak a type of language. Also, some birds remember where they built nests and fly hundreds of miles to go back there. Or what about spiders? They make amazing webs, so maybe spiders are very intelligent too. Now let's meet 3 very clever creatures. Coco the gorilla can talk. She lives in California in the USA, and she can use sign language to talk to people. Her teacher, Penny Patterson, has taught Coco more than 1,000 signs for different objects, actions and feelings. Coco invents new signs when she sees new things. The first time she saw a duck, she used the sign for water and the sign for bird. Penny believes that all gorillas can learn to use sign language because they are a very intelligent species. Crows are intelligent birds. Betty, a crow who lives in England, is especially intelligent. The amazing thing about Betty is that she makes tools to get her food. It's not unusual for crows to use twigs to pull food from holes in trees or in the ground. Betty can do more than that. She can pick up a piece of wire and bend it to make a hook. The hook is better than a straight piece of wire because Betty can use it to get her food more easily. What's more, she didn't make a hook just once, by accident. She has made hooks many times while some scientists were watching her. Betty wasn't just lucky, she learnt and she remembered. Now imagine an elephant that can paint. Sao is a 35-year-old elephant who lives in Thailand. When Sao was young, she worked in the forests. She used to pull up trees so that people could sell the wood. Then, in the 1980s, companies stopped selling wood from the forests because there were not enough trees left. Luckily, Sao has found a new job. She is a painter. She can hold a paintbrush with her trunk and paint beautiful pictures. There are lots of elephant artists like Sao in Thailand. People can visit exhibitions and buy paintings by Sao and other amazing elephants. Sao's keepers are going to use the money from the paintings to help protect elephants.
Unit 7. A helping hand. Listening 7. Read and listen.
Oxfam, you can help too. What is Oxfam? Oxfam is a charity that helps people all over the world. Oxfam started in Oxford in 1942 when a group of people decided to help victims of famine. The group was called the Oxford Committee for Famine Relief, but the name soon became Oxfam. Today, Oxfam works in more than 70 countries around the world to make people's lives better. What does Oxfam do? Oxfam helps people who are poor, hungry, or in trouble. Oxfam sends helpers to different countries to work with local people and try to find solutions to poverty and other problems. Oxfam trains health workers, builds schools, gives food and shelter, and makes sure that people have clean water to drink. Oxfam also helps people in natural disasters like floods or hurricanes. What can you do? Here are some simple ways you can help. Raise money for Oxfam. There are lots of fun ways to raise money. Why not organise a concert or a sporting event at your school and sell tickets? Or perhaps you could make cakes and sweets and sell them to people. Give an Oxfam gift. Are you looking for a special gift for a friend? When you buy an Oxfam gift, your friend will get a card, and Oxfam will send a gift to a poor country. The gift can be something like a meal, clean water, a tree or a goat. Sometimes a few friends put their money together to buy a big gift, like a water tank, to give clean water to a whole village. Read and learn. It is important to learn about what is happening in the world. Read newspapers and use the internet to learn more about the world we live in. There are lots of ideas for schools on the Oxfam website, with information about disasters, famine, clean water, and environmental subjects. When you know about the problems in the world, you can start to look for solutions. Spread the word. Your friends and family care about what you think, so tell them your ideas. What do you want to change in the world? How do you think we can make that change? Talking to people is the first step to making things happen. You can find people with the same opinions and ideas and work together to make your world a better place.
Unit 8. Sweet and tasty. Listening 8. Read and listen.
Chocolate. Would you like a piece of chocolate? Most of us enjoy a bar of chocolate, or we like the taste of chocolate in cakes or ice cream. However, not many of us know the history of chocolate. Let's look back in time. People first made chocolate 3,000 years ago in Central America and Mexico. They grew cacao trees and used the beans from the trees to make chocolate. The Aztecs used cacao beans as money because there were no coins or banknotes then. A turkey cost 100 cacao beans and a piece of fruit cost 3 beans. At first, people only used chocolate to make a drink. They called the drink chocolatul. This means bitter in an Aztec language, because cacao beans have a very bitter taste on their own. Later, people used chocolate as an ingredient in various dishes. They believed that chocolate was good for you, so they used chocolate to treat some illnesses. They also learnt that chocolate will give you energy if you are tired. During the 16th century, Spanish people travelled to Mexico and were introduced to chocolate. They took chocolate home with them, and soon people in Europe started to use chocolate too. At first, only rich people could enjoy chocolate because it was very expensive. In England, people visited special chocolate shops to drink chocolate drinks. They found out that if you add vanilla and sugar to chocolate, it tastes a lot nicer. In about 1690, a doctor called Hans Sloane made a new drink with chocolate and milk. This drink was sweet and tasty, so it was very popular. Today, chocolate is one of the most popular foods in the world. There are hundreds of different chocolate bars and sweets. Give chocolate as gifts on special occasions. A special treat is chocolate fondue. We heat the chocolate until it melts and then dip fruit into the chocolate. Strawberries are delicious when they are covered in melted chocolate. There are different kinds of chocolate: dark chocolate, milk chocolate, and white chocolate. If you like chocolate, you will be pleased to know that dark chocolate can be healthy. Unlike milk chocolate, dark chocolate does not have a lot of milk and sugar in it. Dark chocolate is good for your heart and helps your blood to move around your body. Eating a small amount of dark chocolate every day can help protect you from some illnesses.
Unit 9. Journeys into Space. Listening 9. Read and listen.
The history of space exploration. For thousands of years, people have wanted to know more about space. In ancient Babylon, people studied the sun and stars. The ancient Egyptians used the stars to tell the time. In 1609, the Italian scientist Galileo was the first person to study the moon and stars through a telescope. But when did people actually begin to explore space? Space exploration might not have been possible without an ancient Chinese invention: fireworks. The Chinese filled sticks with gunpowder. When they threw the sticks into a fire, the sticks flew into the air and exploded. These were the first rockets. In 1898, Russian scientist Konstantin Tsiolkovsky said that people could use rockets to travel into space. For the next few decades, scientists all over the world worked on rockets. On October 4th, 1957, a Russian team used a rocket to send the first satellite into space. When this trip was successful, they decided to send a dog into space. On November the 3rd, 1957, a dog called Laika became the first living creature to travel into space. Sadly, Laika died before the rocket returned to Earth. On August the 19th, 1960, Russian scientists sent 2 more dogs, Belka and Strelka, into space on the spacecraft Sputnik 5. This time, X returned to Earth safely. On April the 12th, 1961, Russian cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first human to go into space. 8 years later, on July the 20th, 1969, people all over the world turned on their televisions to see American astronaut Neil Armstrong become the first human to walk on the surface of the moon. Since then, there have been many exciting developments in space exploration. On December the 15th, 1970, Venera 7 became the first spacecraft to land on another planet. The Russian spacecraft travelled to Venus and sent information about the planet back to Earth. In 1997, the American spacecraft Pathfinder landed on Mars. A small robot came out of the spacecraft, explored the surface of Mars, and sent some amazing pictures back to Earth. In the future, perhaps astronauts will not be the only people to travel into space. Some companies already offer flights into space for space tourists. At the moment, these flights cost millions of dollars, so only very rich people can afford them. However, space companies hope that more people will be able to have holidays in space in the future. Perhaps you will visit other planets one day and look at Earth from space.
Unit 10. It's time for a story. Listening 10. Read and listen.
Double Trouble. Kalu and his wife, Zara, lived in a little hut on the side of a hill. They were very poor, and they didn't have money for food or clothes. They decided to grow some vegetables and sell them at the market. But they didn't have enough money to buy seeds or a spade. They only had Zara's gold necklace. Zara took off her necklace and gave it to Kalu. There were tears in her eyes. "Sell my necklace at the market," she said. "You can use the money to buy the things we need." So Kalu sold the necklace and bought some seeds and a spade. He came home and started to work. While he was digging, his spade hit something in the ground. It was a large pot. While Kalu was looking into the pot, a coin fell out of his pocket and landed in the pot. When Kalu tried to take his coin out of the pot, he couldn't believe his eyes. There were now 2 coins in the pot. Kalu called Zara and showed her the pot. "We're going to be rich," said Zara happily. Zara and Kalu put all their coins in the pot. Soon they had a small pile of coins. Zara jumped for joy. "Go and buy my necklace back," she told Kalu. "Buy us some food and new clothes too." Kalu went back to the market. He ran as fast as he could. While he was away, Zara put a potato into the pot. Then 2 potatoes, then 4. When Kalu came home, Zara was sitting on a huge pile of potatoes. When she saw Kalu, she tried to climb down to greet him, but she slipped and fell into the pot. Kalu tried to pull her out, but he fell into the pot too. When Kalu and Zara climbed out of the pot, another Kalu and another Zara climbed out. Oh no, said Kaloo. Now there are 2 Kaloos and two Zaras. What are we going to do? Kaloo scratched his head, but Zara had an idea. Let's build a hut like ours for our new friends, she said. We'll make them a copy of everything in our hut. So Kaloo built another hut on the other side of the hill. Then he and Zara put all of their things into the pot, so that the second Kaloo and Zara had everything they needed. The 2 couples became friends. They weren't rich, but they were happy. Zara told Kaloo to bury the pot deep in the ground. That's a good idea, said Kaloo. He smiled at Zara, and after that, they were never greedy again.
Unit 11. Winners. Listening 11. Read and listen.
The Oscars, the Academy Awards, or Oscars, are prizes for talented actors, writers, and directors for their work in films. The awards are given every year at a special ceremony in Hollywood. The first Academy Awards ceremony was on May the 16th, 1929, at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. Tickets to the ceremony cost $5, and there were fewer than 250 people in the audience. The ceremony only lasted for 15 minutes, and it was not on television or radio. In 1953, the awards were shown on TV for the first time. Now, the ceremonies on television last for 4 hours, and millions of people around the world watch to see their favourite movie stars receive awards. The audience is made up of hundreds of glamorous actors, but only a few will be winners. Every Academy Award winner is given a golden statue. The statues are called Oscars. They are made of metal and are in the shape of a knight who is standing on a round film can and holding a sword. 50 new Oscar statues are made every year. There are different stories about how the Oscar got its name. Some people say that the director of the Academy gave the statue its name in 1931 because she said that it looked like her cousin Oscar. However, actress Betty Davis said that she called her award Oscar as a joke because her husband's name was Oscar. Nobody knows which story is correct. But in 1939, the Academy named the award the Oscar. Most Oscar winners have been adults, but a few have been children. In the past, the Academy gave out baby Oscars to child actors, which were half the size of the normal statues. Now, child actors compete against adults for Best Actor or Actress awards. In 1993, Anna Paquin won an Oscar for her acting in a film called The Piano. She was 11. The person who has won the most Oscars was Walt Disney, who won 26 altogether for his films. And the film with the most Oscars was Titanic. In 1997, it won 11 Oscars. Today, the Academy Awards ceremony is very popular. We look forward to the ceremony each year, and we want to know who will win. We love to watch talented actors and directors when they win their prizes and say thank you to the audience. And everyone hopes their favourite film will get an Oscar.
Unit 12. Remarkable Women. Listening 12. Read and listen.
The real Pocahontas. Most people know the name Pocahontas because a famous cartoon film about her was made in 1995. The film mixes fact and fiction to create an exciting story. The real Pocahontas wasn't like the Pocahontas in the film. However, she was a remarkable woman and she had an amazing life. Pocahontas was born in America in about 1595. Her father, Powhatan, was the chief of many Native American tribes in the area that is now called Virginia. Pocahontas's real name was Matoka, but she was given the nickname Pocahontas because she liked to run and play. Pocahontas means playful little girl in the language of her tribe. In May 1607, Englishmen sailed to Virginia. One of them was John Smith. Some Native Americans saw John Smith. They didn't know if he was a friend or an enemy, so they took him to Chief Powhatan. Smith had to lie down on a big, flat rock. The chief's men picked up huge sticks and wanted to kill Smith. Suddenly, Pocahontas ran to Smith and put her head on his. The men could not hit Pocahontas because she was the chief's daughter. Pocahontas helped Smith to stand up. Chief Powhatan said that he and Smith were now friends because Pocahontas had saved Smith's life. The English built a fort in Virginia. Pocahontas often visited the fort. She took food and clothes for the English, and they gave her tools for her people. Unfortunately, the Native Americans and the English were not friends for long. They began to fight, and Pocahontas was not allowed to visit the fort so often. In 1613, Pocahontas met an Englishman called John Rolfe. They fell in love and decided to marry. Their marriage helped to bring peace between the English and Chief Powhatan's people. Pocahontas changed her name to Rebecca, and she had a son called Thomas. In 1616, Pocahontas and her family travelled to England. She met the King of England and many other important people. She also met her old friend, John Smith. Pocahontas became famous in England, and people were kind to her. Everyone heard the story of how she saved John Smith's life and helped the English and the Native Americans to become friends. The Rolfe family stayed in England for 7 months. When it was time to return to Virginia, Pocahontas became ill and could not make the long journey back to America. Pocahontas died in England in March 1617. She was only 22 years old.